To this year's Codegarden, which will be the biggest Umbraco event ever. First Codegarden in 2005 had 23 attendees. This year's Codegarden has more than 2,000 attendees. You are never alone when working with Umbraco. Let's make it the best Codegarden together. Super tak to all of you, especially after we had to cancel last year due to COVID. It's good to be together again. This year, we will talk about the three elements that constitute Umbraco: the community, the software, and the company. We have an exciting program talking about all things Umbraco. Hear from industry leaders, thinkers, and thinkeress, covering everything from strategy and case studies to great design and deep dives into the core of Umbraco. This keynote will take you through all news around Umbraco, including that Umbraco is stronger than ever and is indeed in a very good position. From myself, Emma, Andy, Philip, and Jacob, you will get a high-level status on the company, all the development on the software, and how we continuously engage with each other in the community. And yes, many things have happened since the last time we were together, and we have much news to share with you. Please have a look at 24 hours of Umbraco installs. See the reach of more than 700,000 installs globally, each being implemented at least by one developer and content created by one editor. You are truly never alone using Umbraco. Umbraco is in a strong position. We have a strong product, we have a strong community, and we have a strong headquarter backing the project. A strong headquarter is a good friend to have, as we back the project and we are reinvesting all back into it. Let me say a few words about the company before getting to the community and the software with my co-hosts. We have had 240% revenue growth last 5 years, all being reinvested back into the company, no dividends. Find our books, open books on the website and dive into it if you like. We have also seen 240% growth in HQ staff in the last 5 years. This year alone, we have hired more than 20 people, and we are now 90 people working in all departments. We have opened office in the US, the Netherlands, this year in Australia. We have introduced work from anywhere, and we have hired great talent from around the world. Again, apparently that's our lucky number. 240% growth in number of gold partners globally the last 5 years. We have more than 1,500 partners signed up for one of our partnerships, and there's truly many people relying on their daily outcome using Umbraco. You are never alone. Strangely, we haven't seen an increase in support tickets on 240%, only 190%. Perhaps better software, perhaps scaling the support. Our support team holds a staggering 75% in Net Promoter Score. That's world class. We cover 90% of all tickets within opening hours, which by the way is 16 hours a day. You are never alone. Talking about the future, our guiding principles have been and will always be our values. Taking you behind the scenes on the community and software, how we utilize these values when creating the future of Umbraco. First one, trust. We are predictable and relevant. We assume positive intent, and we try to understand before making ourselves understood. Super important working with people and making software. Respect. We want to be seen as reliable with timely and low friction delivery. We will not be judged upon not making mistakes. We are humans, we make mistakes, but on the speed and the quality with which we correct our mistakes. We are open, we are honest and straightforward. We say things as they are. We share our thoughts and share our knowledge with you and the outside world. Hungry. We don't rest on our laurels, and we will never accept the status quo. With inspiration from community, customers, we keep developing and innovating products and processes, aiming for making things simpler. Friendly. We treat you as a friend, and we are friendly, and we will foster the friendly sharing culture, starting with ourselves. Diversity and inclusion in all we do is also part of this. And now I would like to introduce you to Emma Burstow, working with our community happiness team. Emma, take it away.
Hi, so first I'd like to introduce myself. I am Emma Burstow and I have been working at HQ since February of this year. Now previously I was active in the community from 2015, and that's been as a speaker and attendee at events, working in the community, in the core collaborators team, and making code contributions and documentation contributions too. I was honoured to receive an Umbraco MVP award and also more recently a Microsoft MVP award. So for me, the community is paramount, but it's really about three things. So that's opportunities for learning, the joy of collaboration, and the resulting innovation. So it might seem strange, but this picture is of great meaning to our community. It's a heartwarming relic, but I'd like to ask the question, how on earth does a broken old rover become an enduring symbol of our thriving community? So to the uninitiated, this might seem peculiar, and I'm not going to get really nostalgic and start telling you the whole story, but I would urge you to speak to other attendees because people in the know would love to share the story. It does lead me to tell you these things though. First of all, that we are incredibly proud of our community. The community has always been an integral part of what makes the product so appealing. We are a home for everyone. This has always been the case, but as we've grown and scaled, we've developed strategy that really reinforces this idea. And we're capable of absolutely anything when we work together. Anything. And this includes, but it's not limited to, flipping cars. Our community is central to everything we do. And when we say that, we are not kidding. So years ago, just a handful of super nerds and super fans attended the first Codegarden, and then the first retreat saw people get together. And these are people that were keen to collaborate, but their day jobs were not together. And they stayed in the house and they worked for days on things that they wanted to see built into the CMS. Year after year, that's happened again and again. The annual retreat and the conference itself has continued to grow and grow. My first retreat was in 2017, and by that point, we were 24 people in a really fancy hotel by the sea, and that sounds lovely, but we did an awful lot of work, because what we do is we give up our time and our smarts and we collaborate, because when we do that, the project grows. And this is the thing about Umbraco. It doesn't actually grow the way that the company chooses. It's not in a vacuum. It's guided by the community. So your real life experience working with it comes back into our roadmap. And we are really proud to be an organization that feeds into our roadmap, that real life experience. This is really the open source philosophy in action, and it's written into our company values: friendliness, openness, trust, hunger, and respect. So it's been an interesting year. Nobody could have predicted what the last 14 or 15 months would look like. Personally, it's been challenging. Globally, it's been challenging. And as for the community, we had our share of hiccups too. So the last Codegarden was cancelled, our offices were closed, collaborators were still able to collaborate, but really how far is that true? Our numbers were okay, and the number of issues that came in were fine, but fine and okay, they're not really words that we like to use around here. But really in a year when the world was far from fine or okay, I see this as a win. It's not just an unfortunate trend for us. It's something that open source communities experienced around the world. You would think that having more time on your hands makes you more inclined to contribute, but that's absolutely not how it works. For so many people, contributions are not about free time. They happen when you've got juice in the tank and you finish work and you fancy a play. But in order to really want to contribute, you need the energy in the first place. And energy was in short supply. Our confidence took a hit. And for me, uncertainty is a real brain drain. So we looked at the DigitalOcean research on how open source projects fared over this time. And we found that globally, open source participation dropped in 2020, but the active members sometimes dug deeper. That's certainly what we saw on our repositories. Active members, some of whom needed to take a break, and some dug that bit deeper and got more involved. And our numbers really, really reflected this global trend. And numbers only really tell part of the story. But for what it's worth, here's our Q1 in black and white and red and green. We are bouncing back slowly. Contributors who took a well-deserved break are back. Issues are down. This is to be expected because the V8 release becomes increasingly stable. And we're just climbing slowly out as the world climbs slowly out of the strangeness of life as a pandemic. And we'll see what Q2 looks like later in the year. So numbers are one thing, but PRs and issues are only a snapshot, really. While we've been coding, the community have been up to so much more than writing lines of code. And as for me personally, as a developer advocate, I'm just a tool to help celebrate that, support that, and to remove friction wherever possible. There is so much to say about what it is that you do as a community, but I will just give you a few examples. So over this last year, you have formed community teams without any support from us. You've been working in groups. Package developers who don't have day jobs together have been having weekly stand-ups. People have been spending time on the forum, answering questions, people's calls for help. You've been creating podcasts, webcasts. They've been springing up all over the shop because our community loves to talk. You've been running events. You've kept your publications going. There are blogs and blogs and blogs and blogs. And you've even created a Discord channel where we can get together and listen to music while we work, which is a personal favourite. So my favourite example of your commitment to the community is Umbraco 2021. So with absolutely minimal support from HQ, the accessibility team decided to host their first Global Accessibility Day event, just designed for folk to get together, learn and discuss accessibility in general, find out what's happening with Umbraco accessibility, and to share tools and techniques that help developers to improve the accessibility of their sites. It's a wonderful, wonderful initiative. The day went really well. And if you want to get more involved with that team, I've left a handy short link there on the slide. Take a look. They have a Trello board. So anytime you want to get involved with the accessibility team, it's there for you. Also, I should mention they are really lovely people. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you attend Rachel's talk, which is Friday at 11:30 Central European Time. And Rachel will take you through how you can ensure the best possible accessibility experience for visitors to your site. So just a huge thanks goes out to you for your time, for your energy and your openness, for your trust and your effort. You have kept us together through some incredibly challenging times, and it's because of you that we emerge stronger.
Thank you, Emma. Always a pleasure listening to you. And now I would like to introduce you to Andy, who has been an Umbraco community member for so many years and has chosen to start at HQ. Andy, take it away.
Hi everybody, I'm Andy, a long-time Umbraco community member and a recent HQ hire. A community feature I'd like to discuss a little more are the community teams, and how we've seen them support the open relationship between HQ and community over the past couple of years. These community teams are put together around a particular topic of common interest, managed by a steward at HQ and populated by volunteers from the community. As you can see, most are able to at least kick off their work with on-site visits to the HQ, though of course they've been remote endeavours for the past year or so. The model was pioneered by the documentation and the core collaborators teams, and over time has been adopted for packages, accessibility, the .NET Core migration, and most recently for the development of the Umbraco back office. From speaking to the HQ stewards and simply observing the results, it's clear that these community teams have led to many benefits for Umbraco. The volunteers have brought expertise that complements that of the HQ, whether that be deeper technical knowledge of a particular domain, or the perspectives of agencies and developers of Umbraco solutions. They are a sounding board for ideas, extra brains and pairs of hands for solving problems, and have been a font of ideas and initiatives. As a recent hire at HQ, I've got what I believe is currently a unique perspective of working within these teams, both from the inside and from the out, having been part of the .NET Core migration team, and now acting as steward for the packages team. So whilst I wouldn't want to give the impression that being part of a community team is the only way to contribute, that's clearly not the case, as the numbers of pull requests, documentation updates, and knowledge sharing via blog posts, podcasts, webinars and videos show. I would encourage anyone who may consider applying for a spot in future to do so. As a long-time contributor, I really appreciated the closer alignment of my efforts with HQ that being on the team allowed, along with the ability to influence the direction of travel. As well as having a close knowledge of the roadmap ahead, I could make sure if I was going to spend time on something, it was going to be valuable, appreciated and timely. Which, particular for those larger, ongoing projects like the .NET Core migration, benefit from that regular contact with HQ and the other community members that being on the team provided. And who knows, it seems they can even help you get a job. Another relatively new initiative aimed to further open conversation between and among HQ and the community are the community open hours, live streamed question and answer sessions arranged around a particular topic related to Umbraco. All are announced in advance with community questions sought, hosted and moderated by a community or HQ member, and made available for live or recorded viewing. So far, after an initial kickoff session, we've had video streams focused on introductions to the developer relations role, on adopting Umbraco 9 and .NET 5, and on future-proofing the back office, with more to come. And a final topic I wanted to raise awareness of are the Umbraco RFCs, or requests for comment, that are regularly issued by HQ to gather feedback from the community and ensure that respect is paid to their opinions. The idea is that for any significant decision with regards to the development of the open source Umbraco CMS, ideas and proposals are first written up and shared via GitHub for review and comment. After a period of time during which conversations happen back and forth, the responses are collated, analysed, and feed heavily into the decision-making process, before we finalise a plan and begin its execution. As Emma and I have discussed, there's a wealth of ways to get involved in the community if you're hungry to do so. Many you'll know, and some may have been new to some of you. But whether it be coding, writing, presenting, listening or discussing, we hope you'll find a forum and a format that's right for you. And of course you can reach out. You'll find contact details for all the members of the Umbraco Community Happiness team at the website community.umbraco.com. So whether via a community team or as an individual, whether as a coder, writer, educator or mentor, I'd like to echo Emma's message with a simple thank you from the HQ to all contributors. Your efforts are massively appreciated and make a huge difference to Umbraco being in the sweet spot it is today.
Andy, thank you for sharing both being on the outside and now the inside of Umbraco. Thank you. As the raisin in the sausage end, let me introduce you to Philip, our CMS manager, a well-known Umbracian speaker from many code gardens, and Jacob, our CTO for the last 4 years, who will take you through the products. Philip, Jacob, please go ahead.
Thank you, Kim, and hello everybody. My name is Jacob Midtgaard Olesen. I am CTO here at Umbraco. With me today I have Philip Bæk Larsen, who is our CMS program manager. It's been 2 years since the last Code Garden, and naturally a lot has happened with our products. Philip and I are here today to take you through some of the changes that happens since last time we had Codegarden, but also introduce you to some of the new things coming up, and we're really excited about that. Philip will start out here talking about the CMS and some of the things that have matured with Umbraco 8, and then we'll talk more about what's coming up and some of all the other products in our pipeline. Take it away, Philip.
Thank you, Jakob. Yes, Umbraco 8 has matured a lot since it launched more than 2 years ago now. We've seen an incredible growth and incredible adoption of Umbraco 8, and we think this is a fantastic CMS. We've seen that the features that we launched with infinite editing, so you could edit your content right in context of where you are, variants for language support and even more, and content apps where you can get additional information about your content right in context of where it is. We've seen those features really been adopted by the community, and people are loving them, and lots of packages are really utilizing these new concepts. We've launched the block list with a great editing experience, with rich previews, and this is really the future of content editing in Umbraco. The block list is our first iteration editor on the block concept, but we have plans to expand that even more. This is just the beginning. And we've seen a lot of other cool features in Umbraco 8, with segments being launched, paving the way for lots of cool packages out there. There's a new media picker just recently shipped with a much better UI for the content editor, but also with support for local crops. And then we've seen cloud features that trickle back down into the CMS. We've launched lots of new support in regards to authentication that basically came from the cloud team wanting to do a single sign-on between the back office and the portal. And we really enjoy this symbiotic effect between Umbraco Cloud and the CMS, where features from one place trickle down to the other. We think this is awesome. We've also seen contributing partners become a thing, where some of our gold partners are spending a significant amount of time building features, helping us with migrations, and it's a really great way for them to stand out from the crowd of partners, but it's also a fantastic opportunity for us to have even more real world usage experience when we build new features. So we really want to grow this even more. Umbraco Forms is probably the most used package out there, and we've seen a lot of improvements to Umbraco Forms as well. We now store your forms definitions in the database, which makes it a lot easier when you're doing load balanced setups or when you're moving between environments. We no longer have a mandatory dependency on jQuery for validation. And we've just fixed a lot of edge case bugs all around the product, so it's become more and more stable, and we're really excited about where Forms is going from here. The team is now working on migrating Umbraco Forms to .NET Core and getting ready for the next series of features. We've launched a dedicated standalone team to work on our commercial products with Andy and Ronald. And it's so exciting to see what a new dedicated team can give in terms of focus and energy into products and really move them along. This team also oversees Umbraco Deploy, which is some of the core functionality of Umbraco Cloud, where you're able to transfer not only code and your data structures between environments, but also your content. And transfer content downstream again. So if you have a production error somewhere, you can get all your content down into your development environments. So a really strong product that we've also just launched for on-prem. So in those cases where you can't use Umbraco Deploy, you can now buy a license and get access to Umbraco Deploy for your own setup. To learn more about all of this, you should go see Andy's talk. It's actually 2 talks for the price of 1, where you get a talk about how to set up Umbraco in an on-prem setup, but also a talk about how you can deploy your own content that is not necessarily Umbraco content, that doesn't live in our database tables. Go see his talk and learn more about all of this. Then we've launched a lot of initiatives over the last year to be more predictable, to earn your trust, be respectful of your time. And I want to just go through a couple of these with you. So we've announced that we're moving to semantic versioning so that you can always know exactly what a release contains, when it's breaking, when it's adding a new feature, or when it's just fixing a bug. So you see with 8.13.1, that was the last release we did, it was an increment on the last number, which means it's a patch, so it's a fix. So it's safe to upgrade. There's no breaking changes. There's no new features to think about. It's just a safe upgrade to do. Then we've launched a new release cadence so that you can always know that releases are on time. So every 6 weeks, we will do a new minor version of the CMS. And then every 6 months, we will do a new major version of the CMS. So this is a big change for how we used to do releases at Umbraco, but now you know exactly when to expect something from us. And with frequent updates and frequent even major upgrades, the upgrade path is going to be a lot easier, and we expect everybody to be able to continuously upgrade their projects to be on the newest version, always to get new features. And the way we do this is by the release train methodology, which means that the releases are on time, as I said, and then as soon as a feature is ready, it goes into the next release, into a release candidate, and then a release a couple of weeks after, which means that features are ready, shipped when they're ready, as soon as they're ready. We're not waiting for anything, and the releases are always on time. Then we've announced long-term support. So you know exactly for how long a certain version of Umbraco can be used. So every fourth major version of Umbraco is going to be long-term supported, and LTS, or long-term support in Umbraco, means that you will get updates for combined 3 years after the first release. So this means that if for those projects that can't continue the upgrade, or for the projects that just lie dormant after its release, pick one of the LTS releases, and then you'll make sure to get all the security updates as they continue to roll out over the whole 3-year period. So it looks something like this, where you see that Umbraco 10 is going to be the first LTS version that we ship, and that's going to be supported all the way until 2025. So we're doing this alongside of the Microsoft .NET LTSs, which means that .NET 6, which is going to be LTS, which is expected in November, is just a couple of months before Umbraco 10, so we can make sure that everything works, and then you can stay on a stack where your programming platform and your CMS is supported for a long time going forward. And with that, back to Jakob to give us an update on what has happened in cloud.
Since last Codegarden, we've introduced 2 new platforms on Umbraco Cloud. Umbraco Hardcore was launched in December 2019, giving you headless capabilities on the cloud platform for Umbraco. In June 2020, we launched Umbraco Uno, giving you easy to get started capabilities for introduction of new users, but also the ability to create a full website without any coding. We are excited to see the engagement in both of these products, and we expect to continue the journey with investing further development in both products. And with that, let's talk a little bit about the future. The first thing I would like to talk to you about is the best-of-breed ecosystem. Umbraco is best-of-breed content management, and we've been talking about that for years, but we want to talk a little bit about the ecosystem surrounding Umbraco, the digital experience platform, as we call it. There's a lot of good packages out there today, both commercial and community-based, but we would like to make it easier to integrate with Umbraco and easier to understand what is it that the ecosystem surrounding Umbraco can offer for me. So Umbraco HQ has been and will continue to invest in this area, both with hires and other investments in the product line. And the overall focus here again is to make it easier to integrate with Umbraco. We want to make sure that this focus enables both additional community development in form of new packages, but also make it easier for commercial type packages and those not currently in the Umbraco ecosystem to work with Umbraco. We will start out by introducing the Umbraco Marketplace, which is a rebranding of what is currently known as the package sections around both Umbraco.com, but also in the back office of the CMS. And You can hear a lot more about this marketplace concept and the whole best of breed DXP in a session with Anders and I later here at Codegarden. And now it's time to turn it back to Philip for more updates about Umbraco 9. Philip?
Yes, I'm so excited about telling you all about Umbraco 9, which is the next big chapter in the story about Umbraco. So about 2 years ago at the retreat just before Codegarden, a team was starting to form around upgrading or migrating Umbraco to .NET Core to get onto the newest Microsoft platform, to get all of the advantages out there. We wanted this to be an open process, and we did this through forming a community team really quickly, and we've been doing it continually since by putting out requests for comments, or RFCs, for all the major decisions that we've made, and we're really excited about Umbraco 9. With some of your cheese probably being moved, you might be asking yourself, why should I be interested in this? And .NET Core, which is now .NET 5, is the future, even the present, of the Microsoft .NET programming platform. It is open source itself now. It is cross-platform, so you can run it on a Mac or a Linux even. And this is really what the next generation of developers wants to learn and wants to work at. We see this ourselves when we get students right out of school. They don't necessarily know old .NET Framework, they know .NET Core, and they want to work on this. They're excited about it, and they are excited about it, among other things, because it's faster. We've seen for Umbraco 9 that CPU usage has gone down dramatically, from between 50 to almost up to 80% less time spent on CPU. We're seeing shorter request latency so that your requests go faster back and forth, which just gives a much better experience of your website running and of back office running. It is a fantastic experience. And to know all about this and what numbers are calculated how and what all the caveats are, go see Shannon's talk on performance tuning of Umbraco. Hearing all of this, I'm sure you are hungry, just like we are, to know when is this happening. And I am so excited today to be able to tell you that Umbraco 9 is launching this summer with a release candidate in July. So we are really close. And you should get started testing out today. Test out on the betas, test out when the release candidate is out. We really want 9.0 to be stable out of the get-go. So you don't need to wait for 9.1 or 9.2 or 9.3 to be able to use this. And the only way we can get to that is if you help us by starting to migrate real projects, by finding all the edge case things that have changed, that might not be possible anymore, or that we might have broken. Help us find all of these now so we can get them fixed before the final release. The database is 99.9% the same, so all your content more or less just flows right over from an Umbraco 8 site. So what you need to do is think about your own code, your views of course, and then packages. We think that packages are instrumental to how you build websites today with Umbraco. And we are so excited to see the package community has really embraced Umbraco 9, embraced .NET Core, and we've seen packages that are already on our with support for Umbraco 9. This is so amazing. And if you depend on a specific package for your project, make sure to reach out to your package author. Ask them how you can help, how you can get involved in getting their package over to .NET Core for the better of us all. For our packages, Forms 9 has a beta out now, so you can use it if you'd like. There's also a pre-release available for Umbraco Deploy, and you can get all of these the same place that you get the beta and the RC. So talking about cheese that has been moved, I'm not going to go into this slide, but just know that we've tried to find a good balance between staying familiar to those of you who know Umbraco, but also following best practices and doing things the .NET Core way. And to learn more about all of this, you should go see Bjarke and Elitsa's talk. that will dive into all of these areas and give you pointers on what to do, what to change, what to be aware of. So this of course begs the question, then what's next? What's the next big thing for Umbraco 9? We've always cared deeply about the editor, about developers, and we'll continue to have this dual focus. But for Umbraco 9, after a big migration like that, there's always lots of tasks that we need to do. So there's probably some cleanup every here and there. We want to make sure that Umbraco 9 is even more maintainable. We want to increase the testing, the coverage. We have some places where we see performance opportunities. And we want to do a database rework of how we store content in Umbraco. This is all to pave the way for new features that we want to land. Features like expanding what we're doing with the block, with block level variants. We want to make a block-based grid. We also want to make sure that you have closer control over your variants, so who has access to what variants, and lots of more stuff. We are really hungry and ambitious for what we want Umbraco to become. And there's even one more thing that I would like to mention today, is that we're bringing back tabs to the back office. We're doing this in a backwards compatible way, so you can choose to have either tabs or groups or both. And we think this really makes the editing experience even more seamless. So talking about the front end, one of the questions that I get a lot is, what's going on with the back office? When are we getting rid of AngularJS? Is it just going to be Vue? What are we going to do about all of this? And I'm excited today to share that we now have a plan for migrating the back office away from AngularJS, getting into a much better place from a technological standpoint. Back office is one of the reasons why editors and developers really, really love Umbraco, because it's super intuitive, it's easy to use, it's very flexible for you as a developer. And we want to make sure that we keep all of those while we move on to a more modern approach. So this is a big project, and there's actually 3 talks at Codegarden highlighting all about all of this, diving down into all the specifics. So go see all of these. And with lots more faces, I also want to just mention that we now have a dedicated front-end team at Umbraco working on the back office, working on front-end and UX throughout the Umbraco experience, so also in cloud and in the shop and on umbraco.com. So we're really happy about this, and it's so awesome to see that we're investing back into the product. Before I hand it back over to Jakob, I want to answer one of the other questions that I get a lot. What's going to happen to Umbraco 8 after 9 is out? The plan is that we want to ship 2 minor versions of Umbraco 8 after 9 is out. And to do that, we want to get all of the feature PRs processed. So there's lots of community work out there, adding a small feature here and there that we really want to honor by getting through all of them before we close off 8. And the way we do this is that you have until the end of this week, so until Monday, to get new feature PRs in. After that, we will only be accepting PRs that are targeting V9. So make sure to get them in by June 14th. And that means that we then have enough time to go through all of the feature PRs that are targeting V8 and get them all reviewed and get them into a state where they can be merged before the final release of 8. That's then also going to be long-term support. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Jakob, with some updates on Umbraco Cloud.
Thank you, Philip. Let's dive into some of the updates that you can expect from Umbraco Cloud. But first, again, a quick recap of the 3 services that we have on Umbraco Cloud: the Umbraco Cloud CMS hosted solution, and Umbraco Hardcore for the headless need, and Umbraco Uno for easy to get started and the ability to launch without any coding. All of these 3 products will continue to see future development, and you can follow along in our roadmap and in our blog and in additional channels for communication, which is part of our open value. We are sharing as much as possible about what is going on the roadmap for all 3 products. But first, let's talk a little bit about Umbraco Cloud. So these days we are introducing a completely new version of the hosting infrastructure backing Umbraco Clouds, a next generation hosting platform. We've been partnering with Microsoft and Cloudflare on building a new solid platform for hosting for all of the Umbraco Cloud universe for the future. This is fully aligned with the respect value that Kim mentioned earlier. We want to make sure that we bring the best possible hosting platform for all of you with the performance and the reliability that you all expect. So we're really excited about this new platform, and not only have we already rolled a lot of customers into this new platform and will continue that journey, this will also enable us to further develop Umbraco Cloud with a lot of new feature functionality. And looking at that, relating again back to our values of being hungry, we are not resting with Umbraco Cloud in terms of what services and what kind of value we would like it to provide for you. So here are some of the examples of what you can expect going forward, ranging from more native built-in content delivery network features, options for hosting globally around the world, not just in Europe. Umbraco ID is an example of a service that's already rolled out to some of the customers on cloud. It's an authentication platform that we expect to be available in general. So if you want to authenticate with Umbraco ID for single sign-on purposes, even outside of Umbraco Cloud, it is available for you to do so. One of the really important areas for us is the developer experience when using Umbraco Cloud, and this is one of the areas that we want to dive further into going forward. And then again, back to what I mentioned earlier, the DXP platform is key also to Umbraco Cloud, and we would expect to see further enhancement both to making it easier to integrate with Umbraco Cloud and also functionality available through the DXP setup in Umbraco Cloud. But overall, the proposition and the placing for Umbraco Cloud for us value-wise has not changed. We still want it to be the best place to run Umbraco and do that with good hosting options, but also with all the services and functionality that we can provide on top of the CMS. You can follow the cloud evolution again through our roadmaps and all of our communication, but you can also get a lot more information here at Codegarden. If you go to the talk with Morten Christensen, the team lead of the Umbraco Cloud platform team at Umbraco HQ, he will tell you more about the future for Umbraco Cloud. And with that, Philip and I would like to say thank you very much for listening to the product updates in this keynote for Umbraco. We are really excited that it's time for Codegarden again, and we look forward to engage with all of you for additional product and technology questions and conversations throughout Codegarden. And with that, back to you, Kim.
This concludes the keynote talking about our values and the future of Umbraco, how we utilize the values in our work. Thank you, Emma, Andy, Philip, and Jacob. And please go join some of the many sessions we have. You will not leave empty-handed from any of these. You will be inspired, challenged, get ideas, and learn things that you can use in your work or life. You will also make friends with like-minded people across the world, because you will meet the most friendly developer community ever. You're never alone with us. Enjoy.